stopping talking about farming and its potential, Bill graciously handed me an ag task force. So we've been working with that group for about a year now, and I'm going to go over a little bit about the things that we're doing with that group. Now this was interesting to me. I found the West Virginia State Code for the Economic Development Authorities in the state, and I was so pleased to find that agriculture was actually listed in the purpose statement from the state code level. So I immediately brought that to the attention to our local Economic Development Authority, and like I said, eventually was handed the task force to work with. So I'm very pleased to see that. This is our Ag Task Force mission statement. Basically, we are in existence to try to promote agriculture in the county. There are a lot of counties in the vicinity who are very actively supporting their agriculture, all the different programs and farming and all the different things that are happening, sweeping across the country with the local food movement. So that's what we're doing, and we're working on a couple of pretty interesting projects. With the help of Dennis Scott, our extension agent, and Rebecca McLeod with the RC&D, we are working on what is titled the Morgan County Crop Inventory and Expansion Project. This is basically a survey that we're going to be doing in the county, and it's a county-wide survey. It's going to be two parts. One-sided is the demand side, so we're going to be talking to area business people, school systems, hospitals, people that potentially might be interested in purchasing local farm products. And the other side to that is the supply side. So we're going to be taking a really thorough inventory of what is actually being produced in Morgan County. Some of the things that are reported in the USDA census, it's not a real accurate picture, I don't think, of what's actually being produced. So we're going to try to determine the supply and demand, cataloging perceived barriers, and detailing opportunities. We hope that once the surveys are returned, that we'll be able to go to the EDA and we'll be able to say these are the things that we found, and these are the things that we hope that you will support. We're hoping to determine different types of businesses that farmers need in order to be more successful. We're hoping to determine things that area businesses need in order to purchase from local farms. There's a connection missing there between the two. And if we can make that connection happen easier through the EDA, then hopefully these things will happen. We're hoping to get these surveys sent out, hopefully in the next month or so. It's a little hold up with the grant right now, but we have faith that that's going to come through for us. The next part I'm going to talk about is I want to show you three examples of farmers in our county that are incredibly successful in very different ways. So the first farmer, which I'm sure most of you all are familiar with, is Paul Knock. This is he is here tonight and is ready to answer your questions that I'm not probably equipped to answer if you have anything that I'm not touching on here. But for those of you that aren't familiar with Paul, which I don't know how you could possibly be, but if you're not, Paul's been a hydroponic farmer here in Morgan County for 5 years. He's been in business for over 20 years, doing various agricultural projects and landscaping and greenhouses and whatnot. But this is his 5th year in hydroponics. He is incredibly successful. He's like the superstar at our farmers market. He has currently 2 full-time and 5 part-time employees. His way of doing business is he primarily focuses on wholesale accounts and broker accounts. So he's not doing a lot of the markets or retail accounts or things like that. He's focusing mostly on wholesale. I have less than 1% of sales come from Morgan County, and that sounds kind of negative. But when you take into account how much his sales are, it's still a really decent amount. And he wanted me to emphasize here that, although the county residents aren't necessarily making up a huge part of his income, the quality of life that he's, able to, the quality of life that he's able to experience here in the county far surpasses the sales aspect. And he really wanted me to emphasize that. So, and the fact that we have 3 to 5 million people that live an hour from here allows him to do what he's doing. He's tripled his operation at the greenhouses in the first 3 years. He's now the second largest hydroponic farmer in the state. And he wanted me to emphasize it's a very close second. In 2009, he sold 30,000 pounds of tomatoes, 150,000 head of lettuce, and 150,000 head of watercress. That's from a ½ acre of property. That's pretty incredible. This year he's adding 3 additional greenhouses. So he'll have a total of 13 hydroponic greenhouses, all on 3/4 of an acre. So I really wanted to show, and if you've never been out to his farm, please try to plan a trip out there. A lot of times they'll have farm dinners out there. It's a fantastic facility that, as you can see, I mean, his tomato plants are like 7 feet tall, and it's just an incredible operation. This next group of photos kind of shows more the hydroponic side of it. And I won't even try to describe it because I don't really understand it, but he's extremely successful. His products are fantastic, and everybody loves Paul. So if you get an opportunity to go out and check him out, please do that. The next farm I want to talk about is Glasscock's, which I'm sure a lot of you all are familiar with that name. That's a big family name here. Mark and Laura Glasscock own Glasscock's Produce. There's also Glasscock's Orchard, which is separate. So please, if you talk to them, make sure that you know that you're talking to Glasscock's Produce and not Orchard. They do sell some orchard fruits, but it's confusing. But they primarily just do farmers markets, where Paul's doing mostly wholesale. Mark and Laura are doing primarily farmers markets. They do the Burke, the Reston, Ashburn, and Leesburg, which is a winter market, as well as the local Berkeley Springs farmers market. They do a little on farm. I think it's just kind of neighbors that drop in, and then a few retail accounts, and they do no wholesale whatsoever. Their farm has also done really well in the last 5 years. They've increased their production 80% approximately in the last 5 years. And in talking with Laura, she attributed that to the investments that they've made in new machinery. They've bought some new tractors. They've improved some infrastructure, and they're using season extending techniques that they're learning at like the West Virginia Small Farm Conference and places like that. You can see the black plastic in their fields. They're planting virtually everything under plastic now, so they're able to plant it much earlier. They will have corn, sweet corn, by July 1st this year, which is pretty early. And there's a couple, that's a picture from our market in their greenhouse. And this pond actually is their irrigation pond that they got, I think, through the USDA, one of the grant programs for small farmers. But that irrigation pond feeds all those black plastic lines that you saw. Those are all irrigated lines. So they're a really great example of, an innovative specialty produce kind of farming. And she says they have, most of their vegetables are grown on about 4 to 6 acres. They have about 30 acres, some of which are orchard, but their main vegetable production is on about 4 to 6 acres. So again, a relatively small farm that's extremely successful. The last farm I'm going to talk about is Wisteria Gardens. I don't know if you all are familiar with Tyler and Heather Caudle. They participated in a Berkeley Springs Farmers Market for the last couple years. Now they do microgreens, which is kind of a boutique type of lettuce. It's a very small, miniature, little green, as you can see all the little beds. And so they set up at the Eastern Market in DC and the Reston Market and 2 others, because they do a total of 4, and 3 of them are year-round. They do have some retail accounts. They have some restaurant accounts, and they do a lot of those in the Washington, in the metro area.